G'day, welcome to This Is Riffin'. Today we're going to look at Wires by Fang. Such a good song, this one, by such a ripper band. I'll be attempting to attack both Brian and David's bits today, so just please keep in mind these are never 100% correct, they're just more a guide for you. And definitely with the tab on the screen, the notational values or the rhythm aren't correct either. I've just sort of huddled them together just to help it come across a bit easier. And today I'm just playing through an old telly of mine, nothing fancy, just a Squire, and that's plugged into my Fender Champion 100 Solid with just an overdrive setting to my liking, so no pedals or anything. And please excuse the sound quality my end. I know it's dodgy as hell, so it's not coming through great, but I can hopefully improve on that one day. So to play this ripper song, you'll just need to tune your guitar to drop D tuning, which goes like this: D, A, D, G, B, and E. So that was my rough little attempt at David's sweet intro there. And you're going to play fret 9 on the top string 8 times. And I use my third finger there because you're going to go to fret 7 on the top string as a power chord. So 7, 7, and then if you want 7 on the D too. But you can get away just playing 7 and 7 on the top two. So you strum that once before going back to 9, but this time you're going to play that as a power chord as well. So 9, 9, and 9. And you're going to strum that 24 times. So I'm doing down and up strums here, which you can do. And a good way to attack it is maybe to think of it in threes, sort of like a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That might help you get into the groove of it. And then you'll end up going to fret 7 on the top string. You'll play that 6 times before doing 7 to 9 as a hammer on. So I just use my first and my third there. Another 9 down to the D string, which is 7 to 9 as a hammer on, and then another 9. So it's the same move on the top string and the D string. And then there's a bit of a tricky move here where you got to jump up to fret 9 on the top string and 8 on the A string to get this cool sounding chord. See, I just use my second and first there. You're going to strum that 18 times. So again, you could attack it by thinking in threes. And then there's this cool move where you're going to go onto the A string. So I think when I play this, and it looks like David does as well, he uses his second finger there to start it off. So it's an 8-7 pull off on the A, and then you slide to 5 with that first finger. So it's all sort of in one move. Before doing a 7 to 5 pull off on the A, so I use my third finger that time, and then 7 on the top string. Yeah, it's a cool move. And then you'll just run through all that again before finishing on the tail end with some power chords. So this is 5 on the A, 7 on the D, and then 7 on the G if you want. So just a power chord. Go 5. I'll use my pinky sometimes. And then you go up to 7 on the top string as a power chord. So 7, 7, 7. 9 on the A is a power chord. 9 on the A, 11 on the D, 11 on the G if you want, and then 10 on the top string as a power chord. So yeah, it's a cool move. So in that example there, I just sort of quickly played through the verse for you, just to give you a bit of an idea of what the riffs are doing. So I'll take you through that, and then I'll also give you some ideas of what the little licks are doing along the way as well. So you're going to start it off by actually playing fret 9 on the top string as a power chord, which you'll play 8 times. And then from there, every time the riff starts again, there's a 7-9, a little shuffle there. So I'm just using my first finger to play 7 as a power chord on the top string, back to my third finger to finish it off. So you just keep running through that. And then you're going to wind up on fret 8 on the top string as a power chord, which is played 16 times before starting again. I naturally add in some extra strums along the way, sometimes those open sort of chords just before I change to the next chord, and that just happens for me to help me stay in the groove there. So that's all I'm doing if you notice that. Otherwise you can just keep it real straight, so it'd be like straight to it, which is what I think they actually do, where I sort of go, adding this extra strum. So that's all that's going on there. And then you'll just run through all that again before going to fret 9 on the top string as a power chord. 8 times, up to 12 as a power chord, 4 times, 16 as a power chord. That's only twice. And then you've got to quickly jump down to fret 8 as a power chord, 4, power chord, and open. So that's a quick movement there. Looks like the dudes do that live as well, so you're just climbing your way up the neck. And again, I'm whipping in those little shuffles there. If you keep it straight, which also sounds cool and probably more in tune with what they're doing on the album. I'll now just quickly run through the licks going along the way in verse 1. And so the first one's 9 to 7 on the G, so you'll bend the 9 before going to 7. So I'm using my third finger there and then my first finger. And then around the 101 mark, there's that little move going on, which was 7-9 on the D, then 7-9 on the G, bend it up, and then a 9 on the D as a vibrato. So yeah, use whatever fingers work best there, but I'm using my first and third before going to my second finger for that 9. And then it's a 7-9 as a hammer on the D, 7 on the G. Winds up on that power chord there at fret 8. And then around the 113 mark, to bring it back in again, there's that sort of 9 bend on the G, and then I think a 7 on the G. We then get to round 2 of the intro riff again, and David's got this cool pedal going on, so it's a little muffled and distorted, trying to exactly decipher what's going on, but you pretty much do the same thing. So run through that. Except for this bit, I put there that you could occasionally just strum the top string instead of of doing the power chord. So yeah, it's up to you. But it's all pretty much exactly the same. And then you get to 7. And then when you get to fret 9 here on the top string, it sounds like he's doing it in 3s. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you can do it that way if you want. Before going into that cool little lick to end it. So yeah, it's up to you there. If not, just strum it like you normally do. And so you run through all that again before doing the to kick back into the verse. And then it's worth to note that around the 135 mark, while David's playing that riff, the band just do a big section there, which is just a 9 as a power chord, slide down. So that would be Brian's part there. For round 2 of the verse, the riff's all the same, except the licks in the background are a little bit different. So I'll just run through them now for you. So the first one around 211, again's that 9 to 7 bend on the G. And then around the 215 mark, this is roughly going on. And so I'll run you through that roughly. First and third fingers used a lot here. So 7, 9 on the D, 7 on the G, straight up to 9 on the top string, which sort of meets with the main riff that's going on. Then it's back to 7 on the G, 9 on the D, straight down to 9 on the G as a bends, 7 on the G, back to the 9. So it's a bit of a quick move there. I think I used my pinky to bend the 9 in my example. And then 7, 9 as a hammer-on the D string, 7 on the G, 2 bends at 9, 7 on the G, and then a 9 vibrato. So it has a bit of a feel like that. And then 7, 9, 7, 9 as a hammer-on with some little vibratos to finish it. Also, just during that second verse, it sounds like the main riff is getting cut off a bit. So that starts about the 155 mark. So instead of letting it ring out, definitely sounds like there's a bit of a... So I'm just playing the power chord and then releasing my fingers to sort of block it off or mute the strings. For this awesome part of the song, I'm going to run through my ideas of what Brian and David are doing, and I'll put them both together as well at the end so you can hear them played at the same time. And I'm using the live footage I found of David playing this. And like, it's possible on the album he's playing it up higher somewhere, so feel free to move it around. I'm just going to play it here, and yeah, it seems to work pretty well. So I'll just play through it for you slowly, giving you some ideas along the way. I'm not going to fully dive into it just because it's a bit of a long old riff, but there's some quick movements going on. That move there, I'm changing fingers to help me out. You can do some vibratos here. Little slide there I put in there because I feel like I can hear it on the album. If you want, You run through that a couple of times before getting to this cool bit where it sort of climbs up. Again, you can do some vibratos if you want. Little bend at 14 before starting it all again, and then that tail riff like that. Part here is playing a bit lower, and so I'll just run through that again sort of slowly but not fully dive into it. So I'm doing some big stretches here. I use my pinky a lot there, but yeah, use whatever works best for you. And then there's this cool open on top, and we'll run through that again, but in my example I just jumped through that ahead to this section. And then you work your way up. 4, 5, 7, 8, 11, 9, 12, and then a bend it. Sort of take your time with that bending. Straight back to 5. Run through it again. That move there's my second to first finger seems to work well. Slightly different here. Slide to 9, so 7 to 9 is a slide. And then the cool tail riff together. Now I'll just put both parts together for you so it gives you a bit of an idea of how they should sound when played at the same time. I just gave you 2 examples of how you could play this awesome riff, and I think the first one's more correct where there's an open getting chucked in, so it's 9 on the top string as a power chord, then open, 7-9 as a hammer on as a power chord, another 9, and then open, 7-9 as a hammer on, and then you'll get 7-9-7, which is a hammer on pull off. So I like to use my first and third finger there. Up to 9 on the top string. Then 7, 5-7 as a hammer on. Cool move, that one. Then 4 as a power chord. Another 4. 4 to 5 as a hammer on. 4, 2, 0. So I'll play through that slowly. other example is where you just don't worry about doing the open. So it's a 9 and then another 9. But everything else is exactly the same. And then that sweet tail riff to finish it off. I'm now just going to throw some solo ideas at you for both Brian and David's bits at the outro of the song. So these notes you can just jam around with. By all means, they are not 100% correct as always. The feel's going to be off. I'm not playing with the song, but you sort of can't go wrong if you're hitting these sort of notes. So for David's bit, he does start with a bend, which he does live as well. And live, he's always jamming around, changing it up a bit. But I can hear these notes in the album, especially around the G. And then a hammer on, back to that bends, which is 9 on the G, while you're holding 7 on the B. And then those notes sort of bounce off each other, which sounds awesome. And then he keeps jamming around a bit. Before sort of working his way up, all the way to sort of 14, 16, a few little bends. And eventually he sort of joins back up with the main riff to play along with that. And then right at the end, 7/9 on the top string, I think. So yeah, just muck around with those notes and you should be all hunky-dory. Then for Brian's bit, I can't work out if he's got a cool ass effect going on or he's just doubled up his track, but that first part, it's definitely that note, which I think he does at 9 on the G going by his live stuff. He potentially on the album might even hold 5 on the B and then 9 he bends on the G, which sounds pretty cool. So yeah, if you can reach that far, that sounds sick. So he sits around the 9, 7, and 6 and 7. Back to 9. And then he sort of starts climbing his way up the G to 11, up to 14 eventually, and a 16. Sort of sits around there a bit with vibratos. Up to 18. And then you're going to wind up doing roughly around 20 and 17. So 20 on the G, 17 on the B, and bend the 20 to get that cool thing. Where he sits there for a while, and then I think it's a 20 and 19. Gets this crazy sort of sound going, which you can rip around with for a bit. So if you're jamming around with the album and you're hitting those notes, it should be pretty sweet. It's just all about getting the right feel and the timing when you change, but that seems to work pretty well. And then definitely like live again, the boys are always sort of mixing it up a bit, but that's just a bit of an idea. Well, I hope that helps you out in some way. Such a good song, this one, by such a good band. If you haven't seen the music clip either, I'd definitely check that out because it's awesome. If you've got any questions, please leave a comment below and I'll catch you soon. Bye.